Hello, welcome back to the Inner. Today I have with me Bockarie Jombor.
Greetings.
Hey there, how you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yourself?
I'm doing great. If you
Wonderful.
would introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Bockarie Jombor. I'm a native from Rochester, New York, where I was born and raised. 585, stand up. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a real estate investor, life insurance advisor. I'm also in the e-commerce space, all of which my beautiful wife, Amani Jombor, is a part of. And I'm also a motivational speaker. I empower people, for them to live their best lives, man. So that's what I do. I'm also the founder of Pele Movement, where we focus on people's spiritual, physical, and financial well-being. It's for those who want to go to a higher level in their consciousness and to live their best life on their terms here in this realm, and to fulfill their purpose while they're here.
That's great. So, if you could kind of detail for us, illustrate for us your journey. Where did you start off in your spiritual growth and your
Mhm.
development, and how would you describe where you are now? Kind of just paint that picture for us.
Well, I was raised in Christianity. My mother, she raised me, taught me how to pray, read to me the scriptures. My mother never forced that religion on me. Let me say that. She allowed me to make the choice to go. Believe it or not, even in my adolescent years, as long as there were an adult that was home, I was able to stay home. So she never forced it on me. So basically, that's what it was, man. I grew up having dreams and visions, and actually seeing the things that I seen in dreams and visions come to fruition. I seen signs, wonders, and miracles in my life. I myself, I was hit by a vehicle when I was younger, and there was an accident getting ready to hit me in my head. I seen a very bright light, and my body literally was snatched up under the vehicle. And when I came to, uh, I seen an entity there with a white robe, and one would say it was an angel. So protect the spirit in African culture, but uh, that was my experiences, man. Me seeing bright lights and seeing people auras and countenance change, and me seeing miracles in Christianity. In fact, when I was a Christian, I had an exorcism performed upon me, and I actually at one point in the ministry performed exorcisms on a couple of individuals myself. So, I've seen a woman leg grow in front of me and everything, and I was used in what one would say in Christendom is prophecy on the Ephi side, divination. So yeah, man, those are my experiences, man. Just praying and things actually happening, me speaking affirmations and seeing these things actually coming to fruition. Me doing my part and watching the universe do the rest, if you will. So man, I'm very adamant about having that prayer life and actually doing your part as well to make things manifest in your life, man. So that's what I focus on, man. I seen how it worked for me. I'm happier once I got rid of the religious mindset that had me captive, me always begging, what I'm saying, instead of speaking those things that are as though it is, what I'm saying, and understanding that these things that I've seen already happen, so it's a recording. And, when you're religious, you don't understand those things. You know what I'm saying? You just, oh, I got a word of wisdom or, and what have you, you know what I'm saying? You don't really see it that way. Like oh, I've been here before, you know what I'm saying? You don't look at it that way. But man, when I became spiritual, man, my mind is so much freer. My life, I'm just happier, and I'm no longer living in that bondage, man. Honestly, bro, I was miserable. To tell you the truth, I really wasn't happy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, man. I just kept feeling like something wasn't right. I just have to tell the truth. And we're raised to believe, oh, that's the devil. You know what I'm saying? So I just kept Satan, the Lord rebuke you. I just kept rebuking the devil, man. Then one day I just literally, I promise you, plain as day, I heard, I am not the devil, and I was like, whoa, so I took out time to listen. I'm not the devil, this is the truth. I'm like, I'm hearing this, what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, this is deep. And what happened was my cousin gave me some information about Kemet, and he told me about Asar, Aset, and Haru. And at the time, of course, I was a preacher of the gospel, man. I wasn't trying to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, the devil is a lie. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to hear that at all. And I was just being honest with you, man. And it just kept coming to me like, what if what he's saying is true? What if he's saying is true? Look into what he's saying. It just kept coming to me. So I said, man, let me look into what he's telling me. And I did. And he also told me, I don't want to lead us out. He told me the history of Christianity and how it came to being. And I researched it. And to my surprise, what he told me is true. And then I met some Hebrew brothers, not the extremist ones, the ones out there yelling and using profanity and disrespecting everybody. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't them, because my spirit was still moral and still believe in being a person of peace and love. And so, they sat down with me and taught me how a lot of the scriptures that Christians, were quoting were misinterpreted. Like they taught me the truth about tithing. And my journey started there. It really did. And I'm like, whoa. Then they showed me how, it was misinterpreted about the virgin birth and how it was a message to King Ahaz. And I studied it. I've never been like that. Even when I was in Christianity, I always did my own research. I can say that without lying. I never just took what, my leadership said, and that's why honestly, some of them didn't like me, to tell you the truth, because I always pointed people to the creator. I never pointed people to me. You know what I'm saying? And so, I used to have a lot of issues with people, in Christianity, because they was making themselves God, even though they said they believe that there is just one. So I went through a lot of turmoil and them making the prophets into God and making the apostles into God, and just, not challenging what they're saying, just taking it everything as it come from God. But then I read a verse when Paul said, I say, not the Lord. And I said, hold on, wait a minute. I thought all scriptures are given by the inspiration of God.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I read where he say, let the women be quiet. And we had this discussion. And, I'm like, okay, well, how can they prophesy if they had to be quiet?
Mm-hmm.
So that was like an oxymoron to me. You know what I'm saying? Let them be silent. So, and plus it's not, I'm an African centered person. So, that's just the way I live my life. You know what I'm saying? I go by my roots, and in our culture, the women are revered. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They're highly respected, so that didn't sit well with me because, honestly, I grew up in the midst of assemblies where the women prophesied and preached and taught, and majority of my teachers were females, and my father was absent. So I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that because it was predominantly women that raised me, and taught me how to be the man I am today. So that's the reason why I had a issue with that, because of what I aforementioned. So that's where I'm at, man.
Yeah, I like that. So, if you could talk about your journey into how did you start embracing African culture as a whole?
Okay, what happened was um I did a ancestor veneration, and the ancestors came and visited me. And
Okay.
it happened to me on more than one occasion. And when I seen that what did not happen as I was told by Christians would happen, all these negative things will happen. I'm gonna get possessed and all this other foolishness. You know what I'm saying? When I seen that didn't happen, and I seen how much peace I had, how much joy I had, and how they led me to the knowledge of self, and literally how I literally started connecting with my family members, like
Mm-hmm.
literally start running into people that knew my family, and I was searching for my family, and I started literally connecting with my family on my father's side. I know my mother's side very well. Not as well as I would like, but when it comes to my grandfather, However, on my Baba side, I started connecting, man. I said, man, this thing is real.
Yeah.
It's real, you know what I'm saying? Because of my interactions, you know what I'm saying, with the ancestors. And they never tried to harm me. They never tried to get me to do anything that one would say is evil or demonic or satanic or wicked. They never tried to get me to hurt myself or hurt nobody else or telling me to do a blood sacrifice and all this other craziness that you hear. None of that ever happened. They just love me, man. And they just introduced me to who I am, to
Yeah.
my African roots. That's all that happened, man.
That's cool. So now that you're on the other side of you've left Christianity, what and now you're embracing your African culture, you're moving in
Mhm.
your you've started to grow in what you would call knowledge of self.
Mhm.
What does prayer look like for you now? Or what does spiritual engagement look like for you now?
I'm not begging. I'm no longer begging. I'm no longer looking for this force to come save me. You know what I'm saying? I recognize that the supreme creator has given me the ability for me to do for myself. Not to say that I don't need divine intervention. And I'm saying this because I've been in some situations since I've been walking this spiritual path. Like my wife and I almost got shot. Okay. Going to visit a friend's restaurant. And we felt the high vibration, the frequency of this energy upon us. And the reason why I recognized that it was divine is because when we walked out of the restaurant, the bullets were right where my wife and I were standing at. And those bullets never hit us. And these guys were shooting. We thought because it was a 4th of July weekend. So we thought these, it was firecrackers going off. Then we looked and then we seen these guys shooting at each other, literally right there, out in the open. And we was getting ready to walk in, and we was like, "Oh my goodness," So with that being said, I believe that we still need some super, if you will, on our natural.
Yeah.
We need some divine intervention. Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned some supernatural stories, some
Mhm.
miracle encounters that you had back in that old system. What are
Mhm.
some encounters or some experiences you've had in your new lifestyle?
Well, that was one. And then also just needing resources, right? And interceding and doing my affirmations and literally money, unexpected money coming, actually literally happened, like coming right on time. You know what I'm saying? When we needed it, you know, um, when it came to our business, and as we all know what has happened with the pandemic and things of that nature, literally like divine transmissions coming to me, stuff I never even thought of, messages, growing our YouTube channel to where we're able to monetize on it, man. So, just the law of attraction, learning about the law of attraction, learning about affirmation, learning about speaking, and then just magnetizing these things into my life. And believe it or not, you are actually a manifestation of that because I interceded to connect with people like yourself and to be able to speak to the masses, and to be able to share this story so it can help to liberate others. So you are actually a part of the manifestation too, as well as Brother Reginald that introduced me to you.
Yeah, and I believe you said your wife is a follower of mine.
Oh yeah, man. My wife was the one who told me about you, and how you had creditable people that was on your platform. Like one Jan Elliott, the other one Baba, who how you say his
Baba
name again?
Haru.
Thank you, Baba Huru. I was on the right path, listening to him and what have you. And I came on, I was like, I really like his content, and you kept it real, man. You know what I'm saying? You was giving good content tastefully, that's what I like. I'm a classy person. I don't like trashy. And you kept it classy, and you got your point across. And I just connected, man. I love the content.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And thank you, Mrs. Wife.
Amani Jombor, man. I love her, man. She my queen.
That's great. So, you briefly mentioned some of the laws, law of attraction, law of
Mhm,
vibration. If you could, in your own words or in your own paradigms, could you talk about some of the laws of the supernatural or laws of, yeah, laws of the supernatural, laws of spirituality?
mhm. Well, what I've come to find, as I aforementioned, I've been studying more than anything else is like EFI. And what I recognize is that, you're the one that has to manifest those things. One thing about Christianity, a lot of people, they quote that verse a lot when I get ready to say is faith without works is dead, right? But it's so many of them, they forget about the works part. Without the works is dead. And so many people, they look for, even in spirituality, they look for a harvest and they didn't sow any seed. So you're
Hmm.
not giving the universe anything to work with. And what I learned is spirituality is really still a science.
Yes.
It's a science, you know what I'm saying? As you connecting with the universe and understanding that you have a role in manifesting what it is that you want in your life. And if you never go after it, then you will never receive it. Unfortunately, some of them, they believe, oh, a check is coming in the mail. You know what I'm saying? And now one may be saying, brother, earlier you just said, no, 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 no. But see, here's the thing though, those things that came to me, I worked and it came to me. You know what I'm saying? So some super on the natural,
Hmm.
right? You know what I'm saying? I put myself in position to receive the monies that I received. Remember, unexpected, but that don't mean I didn't know where it came from.
Hmm.
You understand? I say unexpected, right? So these things I've learned that you have to just simply do your part, and then when you align with the divine will for your life, you start manifesting. You start manifesting things. Things will start falling in place for you. And I began to understand that being outside of divine will is like a bone that's out of joint. It's like a dislocated bone. It's very painful. And so that's what I began to learn about, being spiritual is that, it's not that you're rich, stop speaking down on yourself and speaking those things into existence that's actually uh keeping you from evolving. And that's what religion was doing to me. You know what I'm saying? It had me incarcerated, man. I was mentally frustrated and stressed out a lot. You know what I'm saying? But when it came to spirituality and I started understanding that it rained upon the just as well as the unjust, in other words, no matter how good you are, things are going to happen. And spirituality is there to help you through it, not to help you to avoid it, to go through trials in life. No, everybody has to. That's a part of growth. No pain, no
Hmm.
gain. So I began to understand that it was more understandable then, because unfortunately, some Christians sell religion as if though all of your problems are just going to go away once you become a Christian. Oh, see,
Hmm.
your life is like this because you're not serving Jesus. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
it's kind of amazing to me how Yeshua said, "In this life, you should have tribulation."
Yeah. Or in similar fashion, if they see someone that's well off, they'll say the devil gave it to them.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
Unfortunately,
it's like,
mm.
yeah. So you really don't win or lose. If you struggling, it's because you're not serving. But if you're doing too good, it's because you partnered with the devil.
And the thing I've learned is that you have to learn the root of why you're struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then once you find that out, some things are spiritual and some things are not. Like it's the lack of knowledge, financial information. You know what I'm saying? Like my life transformed when I learned financial strategies that I implemented that helped me to be able to create and to be able to one day transfer wealth because of what I learned. And it's true that people do perish for the lack of knowledge in some cases. But in some cases, it's because they're not applying what they know as well. And sometimes we bring unnecessary roughness in our lives. It's not this force that Christians call the devil. You know what I'm saying? No, it's because you're not paying your bills. Okay, first of all, tithing is under the law. Okay, many of them they try to say, "Oh, we under grace now," but you can't get away from that. Scripturally speaking, the tithe was for the Levite priests, the sons of Aaron. Okay, so now you're giving a lot of your monies to this leader. Okay, and you're not paying your bills, and then you're talking about, well, I'm suffering for Christ. No, you're not suffering for Christ. You're suffering because you're not doing right with the money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I've
saying?
heard.
So that's the problem. It's like a person who does something, but they deflect it. They always blaming somebody else for what they failed to do. So for them, it's the devil. Oh, it's just the devil. Oh, CC ain't nothing but the devil. No, no, it's you. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're going to continue to keep going through that vicious cycle that you're going through until you start managing your money right. That landlord, you signed a contract saying you're going to pay your rent on time. You signed a contract saying you're going to pay your car note on time. You understand? So when you're neglecting to take care of what you need to taken care of, you have become a liar now. You have become a person not of integrity anymore, and you're not creditable anymore. So your credit is bad because you're not doing your part. Has nothing to do with the devil. It has everything to do with the lack of wisdom.
I like that. I heard someone make the joke before that you can save up to 10% by leaving Christianity.
Well, I say.
Save
Because, brother,
10%.
let me be honest with you. I was that guy. I can talk about it because I was that guy. Remember, I was
Me
a
too.
bishop, man. I never ever commanded a tithe, believe it or not. Because before I became, I was already talking to my Hebrew brothers. So I had never requested a tithe of anybody. You know what I'm saying? In fact, the members used to come to me. I said, no, I don't want a tithe. If you want to bless me, that's fine because you know the teaching is a bless. Okay, that's cool. But I will never take up a tithe. I'm not a Levite. And I promise the goodness, I never took a tithe ever. You know what I'm saying? And one sister, man, she was like, oh, I want to bless you, man of God. I got this bill, but I believe. I said, sister, hold, wait a minute, time out. I said, didn't you say that you're struggling right now? Don't you got 2 children right now? I said, I'm fine. I'm retired. I retired already. I got an income coming in. I'm doing well. Sister, you take care of you and your children. And see, that is a problem. Some folk, they misquote those scriptures like the one that says about the prophet Elijah. They love using that. Oh, the widow, she gave all she had. Guess what? That is incorrect. It says the widow gave the prophet Elijah some of what she had. And so they even misinterpret scriptures and they manipulate and control people with this giving. Oh, give your last. Oh, just whatever you got, come on and give. Well, they know their bills is due. They know they living off of the people and they putting all the pressure on the people because they living off of the people. But I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on from that one.
Like that's like you said, a mouthful just then. Like for one, even the idea of being a cheerful giver in correct context come from living a place of abundance, not poverty. In that
Mm,
it's impossible to be happy about giving when that's all you got. But it's easy to be happy about giving when you got more than enough to give, and that's easy.
I say that is so
So
true.
it's really supposed to come out of functioning from a place of abundance. And someone I had a conversation with some maybe a year ago now where they were questioning me on why I don't believe in tithing. They're like, you've seen it work. I'm like, I don't believe that tithing benefits people. For one, most people aren't tithing correctly to begin with. I believe what's happening is that they're
Right.
experiencing reaping and sowing. They're experiencing uh give and it shall be given unto
Giving unto
you,
you.
good measure. They're experiencing that rather than what's happening because they tithe. You're experiencing the benefits of being a giver, not
Yes.
the blessing of a tithe.
Yes, wow. I love that. You are so right because that's a
'Cause-
universal principle. You know, that's one thing because we was talking about principles and then you come to find that out. It doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Contrary to the popular belief, you know what I'm saying? The so-called wicked person, if they give, they're going to get blessed.
Yeah,
It's not based on, you know, your morals. It's a principle. It's just like if I go out there and sow a seed and cultivate the ground, it's going to bring forth a harvest. If the so-called wicked person go out there and do it, it's going to yield the harvest because it's not based on just like going to a teller machine. It's not going to refuse to give you money because of your morals.
yeah,
It's a science. It was created to work for you. It's not created to work on based on the premise of your morals.
yeah. Learning those sciences. That's something I'm big on, is learning the
Absolutely.
science of things. Uh, because it becomes easy to replicate, easy to teach. When if it's just something that may happen sometimes and there's no real control over it, we this thing happens to us where when we need it, we can't get it to happen.
Hmm.
If it's just some random act that can occur sometimes, we're grateful for when it does happen, but should we need it, we can't necessarily count on it.
Yeah,
But anything that you know is a science, you know how to do. Like, this is
absolutely.
a horrible thing to bring up, but there's people I know who used to be drug dealers.
Right.
They don't do
Right.
that no more, but they know the science if they ever wanted to go right back into that.
Unfortunately, that's what I used to be.
Ah, yeah.
Yep,
So,
that's my background, man. Unfortunately, but you know, like you said, man, I will never turn back to that though because, you know, at what benefit? You know, at what benefit? And I think that that's what happened to some people that get into these positions. They really know the truth when it comes to this religion construct, but because it's lucrative, you know, they making a lot of money off of it. So a lot of them don't want to let it go. They're addicted to the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And me, you know, I was more about the people than I was about money. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I really cared about the soul of the people more than I cared about, you know, my pockets being full. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it was so easy for me, you know, to relinquish certain things and to not be afraid of speaking out and, you know, losing followers. I mean, bro, I had thousands and thousands. I do now, you know what I'm saying? But at one time, you know what I'm saying, it went down to like about at least 1,200 some followers I had once I renounced religion. And I'm
Mhm.
talking about I had about close to about 6,000 followers at that time. And I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. When they seen it, it went all the way down. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I wasn't concerned about that. See, some people they're afraid of that stuff, but that's one thing you know I love about you know the spirit. When the spirit puts something inside of you, you know what I'm saying? It's a gift, and I learned how to embrace that gift. You know, that gift of a seer, the gift to be able to speak, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of what the outcome is, you know, and I have to be understanding as some people don't comprehend the things that you understand. And so because of the misunderstanding, you know what I'm saying, they will dismiss you because of the misunderstanding, because they don't understand. You know, so that's one thing I face too, you know, on the spiritual walk. And I've learned how to not allow that to move me, you know, because everybody have their path. And that's one thing about spirituality. It teaches you how to respect others' path, to understand that they have to go through the process just like you have to go through the process. And it's not like religion where you out there with a bullhorn and you telling everybody to repent or they go if they don't, they going to hell because they don't follow the same way that you follow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For
That's a big separation. You know what I
we
mean?
used to
It's about you have to find out what you're supposed to do in this earth. You need to find out why you are here. And once you understand who you are, what you're supposed to do, life is more fulfilling because now you have a direction. And some people don't know why. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I so frustrated. Why am I so stressed out? And a lot of times it's because their spirit has not found rest yet. Their
Mm-hmm.
spirit hasn't found peace yet. So that is something that I have found as well, being spiritual. I found peace. I found rest in my spirit now.
If you could dive into that a bit more about
Mhm.
knowledge of self, learning your identity. Let's say someone's watching this and they are struggling with that aspect. What keys would you give them? What pointers, what advice would you give for someone to start learning who they really are, their real self?
Well, first they have to understand that you're a spiritual being. And the person that you're looking at in the mirror is not really you. And the proof of this is if your spirit separates from your body will fall to the floor. So it's just like a vehicle. The vehicle transports you where you need to go. But the vehicle isn't you, and you're not the vehicle. But you're the one that controls that vehicle. And without you in the vehicle has no mobility. You have to be the one that drives it. So first you have to understand you're a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay. And what you have to do is to introduce yourself to spiritual teachings that will help to feed your spirit, your mind, your consciousness with this information that will help to grow your mindset. See, we live the way we think. We live the way we think. The proof is if you're a person that believes in being clean, your home will be clean. If you're a person that believes in good hygiene, your hygiene will be good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you all got the point. So with that being said, you have to introduce yourself to teachings that will help you to evolve spiritually in your consciousness. For me, again, like I said, I'm a follower of Ifa. Now I'm not a devotee. I haven't been initiated. I just love the moral principles that come from the teaching of Ifa, which is spelled IFA for those of you who want to look into it. And it will help you again to be introduced to yourself. And that's what I did. And when I studied these spiritual teachings, in fact, this is a book I have here. If you don't mind, I'll just pull it out real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no
And it's
problem.
called I Hear Olofi Song. And it's a collection, as you can see, of Yoruba prayers for Egun, and that's pretty much your ancestors. You know what I'm saying? And then the Orisha, some of you may know them as Neteru, or what have you. But when I
Yeah,
when I
forces of
read
nature.
this, yes, sir. When I read this, this is what helped me to introduce me to myself. This is I noticed that it was self accountability, like over and over again. These teachings was like they're called Odus. So when you get the old dude, it's pretty much like a parable or a proverb. Like, some of you may be familiar with it, with like what Jesus told was parables. And that's what the old dudes are. And there's stories to bring out moral teachings for you as a person, for you to learn life lessons. And you will see when it comes to that, it's nothing like self-accountability. Because you will never change if you keep putting it on this entity called the devil. You'll never change because you'll keep this, oh, it's not me, oh, it's this. No, it is you. It's you. And you have to take responsibility to say, I need to work on myself.
Yeah.
I need to go within and work on my problems I have as a child. See, because a lot of us are walking around with wounds spiritually. Okay, we're mentally distraught. And you always, oh Lord help me, oh Lord help me. No, 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 no. You got to face that. Psychology is psych. So some of us as Christians, we were taught, oh no, that's the devil. Oh no, that's satanic. Oh no, that's no, it's not. When you got a problem with your car, you take it to a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got a problem with your psyche, you go to a person in psychology who deals with the psyche, which is the mind. And
Mm-hmm.
you learn how to simply master your thoughts, to be able to confront your thoughts, to confront yourself. And you start dealing with that. Like some of you have problems with relationships. Why is that? Because it's something that has happened in your past or in your present that is affecting you mentally that you're not dealing with. And it's a pattern that you go through in all these relationships. So until you learn how to do the inner working and to get to the root of why do you keep having these problems? Okay, my uncle did this to me. I was raped. I was molested. All these men, they did this to me. Or for men, it may be for you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this woman abandoned me. Oh, my mother abandoned me. Oh, I was treated like this. I was molested. Until you confront that issue, you will continue to have problems in your social life. So spirituality teaches you how to go within to the inner self and to deal with those things and to uproot those things so you can live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah. And I'll even agree with you even more on the whole concept of blaming the devil instead of taking accountability. Let's take even more responsibility. Let's say it is the devil. Why are you so weak to have a situation in which you aren't functioning in your dominion in that area? Even if we're looking at the Christian narrative, when was the devil ever beating Jesus up? And he was just going around saying, "Oh, that's the devil."
Good point.
No, we
Good
always
point.
saw a representation of an individual having authority over that.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you learned
even
that
for
hell is
those
a
who
state
might
of
still be
mind.
caught in the Christian ideology, why haven't you conquered the devil yet? Why don't you have authority over that entity yet? Because
And you
that's
find when
what you
you
just
find
said
out
is
there's a
something I teach.
spiritual, you find that's right. You find out there's a spiritual backing in that dealing with your ego,
Yeah,
dealing with yourself. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You start dealing with, him being on the mountain, the pinnacle, the highest peak, which is your consciousness. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? When you really truly wrestling with yourself, your own thoughts. And if you don't believe it, be quiet and look at something and just start looking at it and describing it. I challenge any of you who never done this exercise before, you know what I'm saying? Because I want you to understand you're dealing with yourself. You're dealing with yourself. I promise you, just be quiet and look at something and then start describing it. Don't say a word, don't mumble a word out of your mouth, and just look at something and start having a conversation. Just start saying, oh, that's nice. That's green. That's red. That's blue. That's brown. Oh, it's a nice day today. Don't even say nothing. And I guarantee you will hear your own consciousness, your own thoughts. And a lot of times we're putting this, oh, God told me. Really, it wasn't God, this higher power, this supreme creator that you call a God. It's really you. It's your consciousness, it's your mind.
yeah. Like one of the things that I share on along this topic is that if you let them be, demons are some of the best deliverance ministers you'll ever be around because they show you areas where you're not God so that you can be God. They show you areas that need you to come up higher. The only way you're battling a demon is if you're face to face with it, which means you're not seated up above where you're supposed to be. If we're talking Kemet, you're not functioning as Heru, seated as the Most High, which is all Heru mean is he who sits above. You're not functioning in that heavenly authority if you're fighting demons. In
Mm,
truth, you function in your real authority. That stuff works for you.
mm,
It
mm-hmm,
protects you.
mm-hmm,
Even in the Kemetic culture, Set fights on the edge of Ra's boat, defending the boat from external influence. So when you're
mm,
in the right spot, that's your bodyguard. If you're fighting Set, you're of the world.
mm.
Because even he battles for the kingdom, for God.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. So let's see. One of the concepts that is somewhat heavy in African culture, and I'd love for you to kind of expound on a bit, um, the science of altars.
Mhm.
If you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's kind of like a beacon, if you will, to magnetize, to attract. So when you put the fruit on there, when you put the water on there, when you are not worshiping your ancestors, you know what I'm saying? When you are honoring your ancestors, it's pretty much that's what it is. It's just to me, it's like a beacon It's like a tool to use to magnetize them, to attract, to honor them, to respect them. You know what I'm saying? To draw that energy. You know what I'm saying? For them to commune with you and for you to commune with them. You know, and for me, I've always had a beautiful experience. In fact, I got my altar right over there, you know, in the office over here, you know, my ancestor altar, man. You know, so that's all it really is. It's pretty much a place for you to commune, you know, because I know some have the altar to the deities, to various deities. Like some may honor Peru or or the Eurisha, you know, things of that nature. So that's all it really is. You know, it's pretty much a place of meeting, a place of connecting with, you know what I'm saying, these higher powers, if you will.
Okay. So also along those same lines, how would you describe voodoo?
Same, same. You know, it's pretty much a spiritual system that helps you to evolve spiritually. Because one thing I learned, even when it comes to Hinduism, Buddhism, Ifa, all of those systems simply introduce you to who you really are. At the end of the day, you truly just simply tap into who you really are. I am that I am. You tap into your divine self. You know what I'm saying? Like the kingdom is within. You start tapping into you, to who you are, and connecting with who you are. You know what I'm saying? And again, you live your life path. So that's what I come to find, because I actually have a friend that's initiated in voodoo. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same. It's the same. E5 voodoo, you know, it's the same. They both introduce you to who you really are.
Okay. So um jumping back a little bit to something we were talking a bit earlier, and we were talking about the consciousness and functioning from that place. What would you call like you mentioned dieting for the
Mhm.
body? What
Yeah.
would you say are some good diets for the consciousness?
Well, for myself, you know, I'm pretty much a vegan, you know what I'm saying? But it's also spiritual diets.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily because, you know, you still have people, you know, and I think it's this big misconception out there about, you know, not eating meat. You're supposed to go, you know, you're supposed to go to a higher realm, man. But those who practice voodoo or Ifa, they eat meat. They're meat eaters. You know what I'm saying? You go to them to get your dafa. So I'm gonna just leave that there. You know what I'm saying? But I believe that, you know, diet wise, I honestly feel like now, in all seriousness, though, is that when I changed my diet, when I started eating healthier, it did help me to communicate more. It is true. There's certain foods and chemicals and stuff that can mess with your transmission from the divine. I mean, that is true. You know, so I personally feel like you diet from things that will make your spirit toxic. You know, now we're talking about spiritual things. Okay, you're watching a whole bunch of violence and racism, and you know what I'm saying, you're always looking at programs with a lot of gossip in it. You know, things that doesn't help your spirit to elevate. You need to diet from that. You know what I'm saying? Because you know now you need to sustain from those type of things, and what you need to start doing is putting spiritual, nutritious things, if you will, into your spirit. You know, listening to good things that's going to help you to love yourself and learn how to love others.
Okay, that's great. So, um, on that same note, what are some things that you do? What are some of your personal engagements that keep you in the right space?
Prayer, meditation. I do veneration, and what I do is just like what we learned when we was a Christian. I die daily. Though my outward man perish, my inward man is renewed day by day. Crucify your flesh, right? You know, so it's denying yourself, saying and doing things. Now, I'm not always successful at that. You know what I'm saying? Remember, I'm still a human being. You know, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm still a human being just like everybody else. So I'm not always successful, you know what I'm saying, in these areas. However, like I said, I'm working on it daily. So what I do is I deny myself, you know, and if something really is bothering me, I continue to pray, continue to deny those thoughts that's coming to my mind that's trying to get me to do something that I know is not going to serve me. well. You know what I'm saying? Because if you hurt somebody, it's still not going to serve you well. Now you got to charge them. You know what I'm saying? So, either way you look at it, it's not going to serve you well. If you hold on to it, if anybody pays attention to their body, you become tense. Sometimes you have stress in your heart and stuff like that. So what I've learned how to do, man, is to let it go. Let it go, because really what it is, it's our pride. You know what I'm saying? It's our egos that we're wrestling with. We want to say it. We feel like we need to say this and do this. So I've just simply learned, hey man, deny yourself. No, don't say that. No, don't do that. Don't entertain those thoughts. And that's what I do. And I get off literally by myself. And what I'll do is I'll talk it out. I lie now, I'll shut the door. Or my wife, she in there sleeping. I know she'll sleep. I'll come in here, you know what I'm saying? And I'll just start just talking it out. You know what I'm saying? Man, I feel like this. I feel like that. Man, this really made me angry. This really made me upset. You know what I'm saying? And I promise you, it works, because what you're doing is you're venting, and venting is therapeutic. You're able to get those things out. And some people say you crazy when you're talking to yourself. You know what I'm saying? But really, nah, not so. Sometimes you got to figure out why you feel the way that you feel. You know what I'm saying? Why do you feel this way? Why did that make you angry? Literally ask yourself that. Why are you so upset about that? And you know what I'm saying? And I come to find I will listen to myself. And sometimes I'm upset and it's not even a good reason to be upset. I even start seeing the immaturity in myself. You know what I'm saying? And hearing, literally, spirit will start allowing you to hear yourself, and spirit will start showing you yourself, and you start saying, man, I need to grow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Practicing self-awareness.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. So continuing along those lines of, for one, like one of the biggest things we talked about today is learning how to take personal accountability and being intentional with our own growth and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If there was an overarching theme for this whole inner so far, it's been accountability for your evolution.
Absolutely.
If you could speak to the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you, just from your perspectives or from some of your insights, what are some things that you believe is blocking the evolution of humanity as a whole? And some things that you
Mm.
would suggest would help us all grow as a whole?
Of course, there's multiple things. It's not just one.
Yeah,
But
go
I
for
know
it.
the big thing is misinformation. Misinformation. Humanity across the board, that's a global thing, is being misinformed. You know, and for instance, racism, that's a learned behavior. You know what I'm saying? Prejudice. That's a learned behavior, right? You know what I'm saying? So if people weren't taught that, then they wouldn't have that mindset, right? So the view of women, that women should be in the kitchen just cooking, and they should be cleaning, and they should sit over in the corner and just shut up and be quiet, right? Again, a learned behavior, right? So what you see is with humanity is how humanity has been programmed, to even with spirituality. Let's look at it like, oh, that's satanic, that's demonic. So there again, all of that goes back to what I before said, being misinformed. So what we need to do is be educated appropriately with the right information, so we can detox from those toxic things that we have learned, that's keeping us all in a position of barrenness, and keeping us all from learning who we really are and walking in our divine purpose.
I like that. So it's the, in other words, you would agree that it's like the re-education of the population.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because I've learned that it's all about, being taught proper morals, man, being taught right. If all of us was raised to be spiritual, to be loving, to be kind, and all those wonderful things like that, this world would be a better place. Think about it. If we was all raised that way, this world would be a better place. If we was all seeking peace on earth and goodwill towards men, this world would be a better place. You know what I'm saying? But chaos is in the midst of it. And so
Mhm.
now you have all this tension amongst humanity because of what's inside of an individual. And what we're seeing is someone living out what's within. That's why I love the title of your program, The Inner.
You caught it. Yeah. So even in that, I see it as uh one of the things that I've learned is that if you believe something long enough, it'll actually get down into your cells and it'll
Absolutely.
become what you are.
Mm,
So I
mm,
agree with you 100% that as this generation, and we've been seeing that a lot, where a lot of things that were even off the table to even question are now publicly being blasted right now. Some stuff you wouldn't dare talk about, dare even think about bringing up in a conversation, let's just say 20, 30 years ago.
mm-hmm,
Now there's 20, 30 YouTube videos on it already.
mm,
And it's seeing that humanity itself is healing, where a lot of these, as you would say, misinformations that we've been taught, this uh just a lot of lies and deceptions that we all grew up under, not just in Christianity, but people came from a bunch of different places.
mm-hmm.
uh like I've even said in a different group, I was like, hey, let's not give Christianity that much credit. Some of the worst advice we got came from family members.
Facts, facts.
Because we just trusted them because they were older than us, and we just carried that
Mm,
nonsense with us for a long time. Like there's stuff,
that's
and
facts.
going back to the idea of being self-aware, like that was a process I went through beginning of 2020, before 2020 really happened, where I started over. Everything that I didn't learn from the divine, I disowned, I divorced.
Mm,
So I've been
mm,
relearning everything since January of 2020.
mm-hmm,
And it's having that intentional conversation where I'm like, where did I learn that from?
mm-hmm.
Did I learn that
Yes,
from
good
God?
question.
Did
Good
somebody teach
question.
me that? Did I hear that and it just sounded good? Did I read that
Yes.
somewhere? Where did I learn that?
Yeah, digging, going to the
Okay,
root.
I got
Yeah.
that myself from a conversation with God. That I'll keep. Okay, this I heard in a sermon from this preacher I liked at the very beginning, and I don't even like them no more. And I think I'm hanging on to that too hard. God never told me that was even true to begin with. Let me drop it. And if
Mm-hmm.
God brings it back, he brings it back. But right now, I ain't had that conversation yet. So I moved that to the side. I'm gonna throw it away. And I believe we're watching humanity do that as a whole.
Mm.
We're watching humanity question things of where did that come from? Why
Yeah.
do I believe that? Why do we
Yes.
believe that?
Woo. Boy, I tell you,
Which
man.
is a part of the healing process. It's part of that evolution.
Yes.
We're watching humanity heal itself.
Yes, man. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing for people to start questioning things. And that's what happened to me when I really started questioning things. And honestly, when I actually accepted the facts, you know, contrary to popular belief, it's not the truth that sets you free. It's the implementation of that truth that sets you free. Because you
Mhm.
can know something, but if you don't apply it, it will never do you any good. If you know how to fix your credit and you never fix your credit will stay bad. You still have
Mhm.
bad credit. So the only way you're going to get good credit is applying the information that you know that's going to make your credit good. Okay. Liken that unto your life. If you know what you need to do to fix your life, for your life to stop being bad and for it to be good, for it to be better, and you never do that, then you're going to continue to experience what you're experiencing.
Yeah. And I have a few stories of that. Like recently, maybe 3 months ago, one of my friends, and I'm gonna leave out his name and specifically what the situation was because I don't want to air nobody business on the internet for the world to see. But he was telling me about a situation he was having where events were not going in his favor. And I said, why don't you just create the future you actually want to live in instead of worrying and meditating on something you don't want to experience?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, you talking about like manifesting? I know about that. I heard of that before. I was like, okay, we'll do it. 2 days later, he was living in the thing that he thought was impossible. I was like, see, it's easy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
goes to
man.
show that knowledge alone ain't power. It's the
No,
application of that knowledge.
yes, yes, I
In
totally
a
agree.
lot of these conversations, I'll tell people stuff. They're like, well, I know that. I'm like, well, great. Now do it. That's the fun part. You get to go do it. And then this is all over. You're not struggling anymore. Oh,
Absolutely.
what do I do? I'm stressed. I'm worried. I'm like, okay, go chill out. Go relax.
There you
What you
go.
mean go relax? Go chill out. Now that you feel better, can you think straight? Yep. You know what to do? Yep.
There go your answer. Yeah, I love what you said. It's so true because we complicate simple things. Like these people are troubling our lives. You know what I'm saying? But we're so over emotional about it to where we stay attached to these individuals, and the issue is them. And the issue is not going to go away until they go away. They're the problem. So if you like, oh
Yeah.
man, man, this person always disturbing my peace. Well, get rid of them. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your grandmama. You know what I'm saying? You should allow nobody to disturb your peace. You know what I'm saying? And you have to get, emotionally detached from that. And you got to start caring more about yourself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And of course, I'm not saying it feel good for you to have to cut your loved one off, especially the hierarchy in your family, like your mother and your father, grandmother. However, it's a necessary good, not evil. It's a necessary good for
Yeah.
you to do so that you can be able to have your spirit at rest.
Yeah.
That's all.
Joy, peace, and rest are a constant. That's a must.
I say.
joy, joy, peace, and rest. If you whatever is not feeding that needs to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I did a message on that today on one of my motivational videos. So this is confirmation right here, flowing in the
Yeah.
right spirit.
Because it even that's about being self-aware or really just practicing being observant, paying attention to what's actually happening. Like some of the people in our what some would consider their circles are either benefiting you or they're benefiting from you or they're stealing from you. Either it's positive or it's negative, really.
That's a fact.
In some cases, it's only positive for them and they leeching off you. But you have to be aware enough of the situation. There's some people that I keep around that I know benefit me none at all, but I'm a benefit to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awareness of that changes expectation.
Mm,
You
that's
treat
good.
people
That's
different
good.
depending on how you understand the relationship. If I think we both supposed to be given to each other, and I recognize later, wait, it's always me giving and never you, I could mess up something that's actually supposed to function that way for the time because I misunderstood the assignment. That
Mm,
this might be a time period I'm supposed to pour into them. It's still
wow.
reaping what you sow. My reaping, my harvest just might not come through them.
Absolutely. And
In
it, and,
another
and, and they
situation,
could because of your mentoring. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And they recall that you are the one that poured into them, and they'll come back and pour into you.
yeah. In some cases,
I've had
you
that
have some
happen
people
before.
who are committed to cultivating you at your lowest. They're there to feed your ego. They need to go. Or you need to become a high tide that lifts other boats. One or the other. Either they need to
Absolutely.
go because you're too easily influenced, or you need to become such a greater influence that even they got to change.
Hey, there it is, man.
Well, let's see. I don't want to drag this out too long. Let's see. You got any closing thoughts? Anything that you'd like to lead the people with? Anything that's on your mind you just want to rant about?
Well, just live your best life. Remember that, you live the way you think, and if life stinks, then you need to change your thinking because it's the stinking thinking that caused life to stink.
I like that. And if you could release a blessing, I don't know how to ask that for you. For anyone that could be watching this,
Mhm.
blessing, a prayer, some
Well,
affirmation, some encouragement.
I would say, affirmations, you know what I'm saying? Speak the affirmations over life. Speak positive affirmations over your life. I am handsome. I am beautiful. I am blessed. I am healthy. I am well. I am a multimillionaire. Wealth comes to me, you know, easily and effortlessly without great labor or toil. My life is simply amazing. Good fortune chases me down. I'm truly the luckiest person in the world. I love wealth. Wealth loves me. I live a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. Speak affirmations over your life like that. You understand? Because just like the verse says, and I still use certain verses, when it says faith cometh by hearing, you understand? So if faith comes by hearing, guess what that means? Doubt does too.
Yeah.
So that means that you doubt yourself because of what you heard. So with that being said, you got to speak it out of you because it's been spoken into you. So now
Mm-hmm.
what you got to do is do the reverse of that. And if you feel like you're ugly because you've been continuously told that's what you are, then you got to speak how beautiful you are. If you've been told how dumb that you are, then you got to start saying, I'm intelligent, I'm wise, I make good decisions. You understand? You got to speak the opposite of that which is keeping you from being a person of fruitfulness that you have been destined to be.
I like that. Reminds me a lot of Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy, both self-made millionaires who didn't take donations. And I actually don't think either of them were businessmen. They just knew how to vibrate or live from the right frequency where whatever they wanted showed up. Like Joseph would often say, if you're doing affirmations for money, don't put a monetary value on it because that'll cap it. Instead, he would redirect people and say, I am infinitely abundant. Everything that I need is supplied, and I have more than enough to give. I can fill others' pockets because mine overflow just that much. That way, you're moving in this
Hmm.
limitlessness. Where let's just say, and this has been some of other people's fears, let's say money loses value tomorrow, and all your affirmations were about having however many dollars. You just became obsolete. But if your affirmations are about being abundant and all your needs being met, it don't matter what happened to the economy. I'm good.
That's good.
That's something I learned from Joseph. Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, both self-made multimillionaires
Hmm. I like it.
who learned from an Ethiopian.
That's wonderful.
So if people wanted to connect with you, do you have any products, any books, or anything like that? But if people wanted to buy any of your stuff or connect with you, where could they do that at?
Well, they can connect to me. As of yet, I haven't written any literature as of yet because I'm still growing, and I want to make sure that I give people some fruitful content. So yeah. But other than that, you can right there my name, Bockarie Jombor. You can locate me BockarieJohnBor.com. So my first name, my last name, all together, no spaces and nothing, BockariesOnBoard.com. And if you go there, it'll take you to all my social media outlets, websites, YouTube channel, all those wonderful things like that. You can find me on there to take you to everything, my Facebook, Instagram, all that.
Awesome. Well, it's been great having you on here.
Thank you.
Um, well, that concludes this episode of The Inner. Um, Comment down below. Let me know who else would y'all like to see me interview on here. But until next time, y'all be blessed.